How's it going, guys? Edgar here with YugiKnights of the Round, and today I'm bringing you my deck profile of the deck I decided to take to my first YCS regionals. I decided to go with True Dracos. True Dracos is probably the best deck that I have right now. I know that's sad to say because they're not really meta anymore. There's hardly any of them in rotation. I hardly see any of them top anymore, but it's the one I decided to I guess invest in, because way back when I bought Maximum Crisis pack and I pulled a Masterpiece, so I was just like, you know what, I'll build this deck, even though I traded away that Masterpiece for a Totally Awesome because I wanted to build Totally Awesome heroes, and then, you know, Links became a thing, so I traded to get that Masterpiece back. And then, kid you not, a few days after I built this deck the way I wanted it with Masterpiece got banned. So at that point, I'm like, I'm already invested with this deck. I might as well just try to make this my main deck as much as I can. So with that being said, this is the build that I decided to go with to my first YCS regional in Omaha, Nebraska. So starting off with our monsters, we run 3 Managing Maidens of the True Draco caster. She helps us search for our True Draco monster. So her effect is you can tribute summon her by tributing a continuous spell or continuous trap card on your field, and that can fill the tribute requirement, and then you can summon her. And then if she successfully tribute summon, you can start using her effect. And her effect is when your opponent activates a card effect, that means any card effect from hand, grave, or field, you can chain her quick effect that lets you add a True Draco monster from your deck to your hand. So she's your monster searcher. And usually you're going to search for this guy, Ignis Heat. He, same thing as Majesty, you can tribute summon using continuous spells and traps, and he also lets you search if your opponent activates card effects only when he's tribute summoned, but his is different because he lets you search for spell cards. Any True Draco spell cards, you can activate them or add them to your hand. And lastly, the one Dynamite Knight, again similar as these guys, but he does trap cards, so you can search for trap cards, either activate them or set them. Unfortunately, he's only limited to 1. I would run one more if I could, but we only have the 1, so we have to do what we can. Next, what I decided to main deck for this regional was Draw and Lockbird, my mistake. I ran 3 of him because I was afraid of that FTK deck that I hear was topping a lot of regionals, and I was just like, I know Draw and Lock will nerf that because they do a lot of card searching, so activate Draw and Lock. You always want to open your hand with Draw and Lock. And then the 1 Ash Blossom, I regret bringing Ash, never used her once. I used her for a diagram target just to blow her up and then search for something I did need. So this is a 42 card deck. If I were to drop this down to 40, Ash would definitely be one of the cards I cut, and maybe a Droll. Moving on to our spells, we run 3 Dragonic Diagrams. This is our field play card. It bumps all your True Draco monsters by 300 attack. Tribute summon monsters can survive an extra hit during battle, so it takes 2 hits to take them down. And you can destroy a card you control and search for a True Draco card from your deck. And this is very powerful because of the True Draco spell and trap cards, and I'll get to that in a second. So obviously, since we need this card, we're going to run Terraforming because we want to see this card as fast as we can. Would run 3, but you know, it's semi-limited now. And now these are the spell cards you're usually going to search for with Diagram, and that's True Draco Heritage and Disciples of the True Draco. They are both continuous spell cards, and they both share the effect. If they leave the field to the graveyard, you can destroy a spell and trap card in the field. So you'll activate Diagram, pop them, destroy a card your opponent controls, and then get your search. It's very powerful. Heritage has the effect, if you activate Heritage and a True Draco card you have leaves the field to the graveyard, you get to draw a card. So usually you want to activate Heritage, then use Diagram to pop another True Draco card. That card leaves the field and you get a draw with Heritage, and then you get your Diagram search. Disciples lets you recycle the cards you have in your graveyard, so you can return 3 True Draco cards and return them to your deck, and then you draw 1. And both of these cards share another effect. If that first effect goes through, the one where you get to draw your card, after those effects go through and they weren't stopped, you can tribute summon again. So you can tribute summon another True Draco monster. I mean, you can use these guys as the tribute material. So that's really cool. Next to our draw engine are 3 Card of Demise. We don't really special summon in this deck. There's only 1 card in this deck that lets you special summon. The rest of that we always tribute summon. So the whole thing of saying that you can't special summon because of Card of Demise, not a big deal to us. The only drag about Card of Demise is that your opponent takes no damage that turn. So that's the only drawback on Card of Demise. And since you run a lot of spell and traps in this deck, the whole like drawing into a monster and then like throwing them away because of card demise isn't a big deal, because you're hardly ever going to draw into your monsters, because that's why we run Maiden, and diagrams let you search for your monsters as well, so it's not a problem. Next we run 3 Pot of Dualities. Again, we don't really special summon, so it helps us stick to our deck faster. And then the 2 Called by the Graves, very powerful card. I really liked this during the tournament. I made a lot of people sad with this because they either try to stop my combo, or I was able to stop their combo. Like for example, I played against a zombie deck, and they Foolish Burial one of their zombie monsters, and I activate Called by the Grave, and I banished that monster that they threw away, so they couldn't go into their combo. So very powerful card. I understand why is that 2. I wish it was at 3, but I get why is that 2. Moving to our traps, we run 3 True Draco Apocalypse. Similar to the spell cards, if this card leaves the field to the graveyard, you get to destroy something. Instead of a spell card or trap card, you get to destroy a monster. So if you diagram this card, blow it up from the field to the graveyard, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls. It does target, unfortunately. But its other effect is that you can tribute a True Draco monster and half the attack of all your opponent's monsters permanently, so that's very cool. And the only drawback of this is that True Dracos have a hard time building a board, because you need at least 2 Draco monsters to really take advantage of this card, because you need one to tribute, and then you need the other one to like attack all those weak monsters. So that's why we run the True King's Return. This is our Call of the Haunted. This is the only card that lets you special summon. So True King's Return, you activate it, you can special summon a True Draco monster from your graveyard in defense position. And since he was special summoned, you can't activate his effects because all your True Draco monsters need to be tribute summoned for their effects to go off. But you use True King's Return, you bring back a True Draco monster, and then you use Apocalypse to tribute it away, and then you use your other True Draco monster to swing over all those weak monsters. So that's the combo. And again, True King Returns also has the same effect of True Draco's Apocalypse, where you can, when this card leaves the field of the graveyard, destroy a monster you control, and both of them share the effect. If that first effect goes through, you can immediately tribute summon again. So that's very cool. Next, we run my favorite card in this build, and that is the Monarch's Erupt. This card is amazing. If you don't know, is that you can't have an extra deck if you run this deck. So I don't have an extra deck, so I can't profile you guys my extra deck because I didn't have one because of Monarch's Erupt. The effect of this card is, as long as you control a tribute summon monster, only tribute summon monsters can activate their effects. And a lot of decks don't tribute summon anymore. It's all about special summoning. And so your opponent's more likely going to be all about special summoning, so their monsters weren't tribute summoned, so their effects won't go off. And the thing is, you must control a tribute summon monster, but say if they Regeki your monster or something like that and your board's clean, this card doesn't leave the field until the end of the turn. So at the end of your turn, this card leaves the field, and then your opponent can start activating effects. So that's very cool, it's very powerful, I love this card. And it's a continuous trap card, so in a tight pinch, you can tribute it and bring out a True Draco monster if you need to. Next, Rivalry of the Warlords. This card is amazing. Sky Strikers hate this card. Goki players hate this card. I played against a Spiral player when I was over there. He hated this card. You can only control one monster type. All your monsters are worms. Rival of the Warlords is great because all your opponent's monsters are all different types, so they can't go into their combos because they can only control one monster type. And they cannot link away the monsters they want to. Alright, you can get a ref if you want to. I had to get a ref in one of my matches because he didn't believe me. So say if your opponent has nothing but Wing Beast monsters on the field and he tries to overlay them into a machine type monster, you can't, because you only control Wing Beast monsters. You can't overlay into a machine because you don't control any machines. If you wanted to overlay into a Wing Beast monster, that would have been fine, because he still controls a Wing Beast. And it's very confusing. Again, get a judge. If you're in this tournament and people are trying to fight you on this, just be like, yo, he doesn't control any machines. He can't summon that machine monster. He only controls Wing Beasts, so he can only summon Wing Beasts. And lastly, I run 3 Solemn Strikes. Very powerful card. My original build, I only had 1. I'm glad I ran 3. I stopped a lot of monsters going off, and it's a counter trap, so they couldn't chain to it, they couldn't negate it, they couldn't stop it. Just Solemn Strike their strongest monster, and then, you know, just GG, man. Next to my side deck, because I did side, I ran 2 Effect Veilers, Mainly because, again, I was afraid of that FTK deck. I wanted a lot of hand traps if I decided to go second against, or if I ended up going second against an FTK deck. Chaos Hunter, because I thought there would be more Trick Stars. Unfortunately, I didn't play any Trick Stars. So, or I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate. I just know Chaos Hunter just took up space in my side deck. Inspective Border, Could Guard. Your opponent can't activate card effects, monster effects, unless they have an extra deck monster on the field. But if you open with this, how are they going to summon an extra deck monster if they can't flood their field, you know? Double Twin Twister, because I was afraid people were going to Royal Decree me. Red Reboot against the Altergeist matchup. Storm Mirror Force for Goki. Skill Drain, because 3 Monarchs Erupt wasn't enough. Imperial Order, just a good card, and you can always tribute it away so it doesn't really hurt you. Evenly Matched, and Infinite Impermanence, because I had them. My friend let me borrow Impermanence, but that was my Evenly. So I was just like, you know, I have them, might as well just use them. Never got to use them. I sided them in every time I could. I would always side them in, never got to use them. So yeah, that was my deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Now, I did make a vlog video of my experience of my first YCS, so if you're interested in listening to that, and I can in that same video I'll also talk about the matches and how I did and where I placed. So if you guys want to know all that, go check out that vlog video. I'll link it at the end of this video and in the description, and I'll catch you guys later.